Howdy fellow model railroaders, my name is Kevin Brown. I want to thank you for checking out my YouTube channel. For those of you who've been following my channel for a little while, my goal for the last few months really has been cleaning out the area back here for the expansion of my Brownsville Terminal Railroad. Well, I managed to get everything done, in fact a week or so early, which kind of surprised me. This was all in preparation for Christmas vacation. I work for Illinois State University, and we have the week between Christmas and New Year's off, and that's the biggest block of time I get all year to work on stuff. So I was hoping to have everything ready to spend this time just working on the layout, and it all worked out. I'm very happy. So this video is going to be a step-by-step progress on what I get done. Hopefully I'll get a lot done. So I hope you enjoy it. Stay tuned. As you can see, I've managed to move some of more stuff in on the shelves, and I've got some of the wood necessary to build the L-shaped riser that will be from Brownsville to Thomasboro. And that's where we're going to start out, the layout out. So that's kind of my project now. We'll see how things work out. Here's the first 8-foot section of the riser put on. The construction's pretty straightforward. It's 1x4 frame construction, 2x2 glue blocks in the corners, 1/2-inch plywood on top. Pretty basic construction for any model railroad. The legs are just 2x2s, but use L brackets to fasten to the plywood that's already in place. When I put this thing together, when I started looking at this, I thought, wow, it looks like everything's nice and level. This will be easy. I was wrong, and I should have known better. This is a 100-year-old plus house. There's no such thing as anything level or square or plumb, or yeah, it just doesn't happen. So I'm trying to make this as level as humanly possible, just to make it easier to put the modules up and take them down. Next step, I'm going to put the modules are going to go here just to check the height out, but I'm very encouraged so far. Here's the first section with the modules on it. I've chosen this as the height. The floor is quite wavy, varies a 1/2 inch plus or minus easily. So I had to pick up the height, and this is what I'm going to use as ground zero. And I really like the way the modules are sitting, and the height looks good for operation. So I'm pretty happy with the way this is working out. So next I've got to go finish the next sections over there. That's good, and then the modules to sit on top of it. So that's my next. Well, the last piece of lumber is cut for the Brownsville to Thomasboro L, and everything is in place. And this place is a god-awful mess. So next phase, it's going to be clean all this up. That's going to take a while, and put all the modules on. And my goal is to start after that would be start building the modules I'm getting for Christmas, which will complete it, and I'll be able to do a run on this entire L. So I'm looking forward to that. So stay tuned for the progress. Okay, that's more like it. I've cleaned everything up. I moved one fluorescent light and hung a second one, which I had in stock. Got all the modules on the now completed L. They look kind of lost out there. There's so much room left. I'm looking forward to filling that in and building the new modules, module kits I have. First I want to zoom in and show a few details on what I've got done. It's my intention to put a fascia here. I tried to make sure that this was nice and flat, probably be just 1/8-inch hardboard, but build a fascia and finish this off, but I'm not going to do anything until I get all the wiring done. That'll make it a lot easier to work on that. I haven't really figured out how to do that yet. I'd like to do something better than just the daisy chain of Kato triple splitters. So I'll figure something out. But for the moment, I got room to work underneath. Also give me some place to set my boxes of car cards. So for the moment, it's going to stay the way it is. Other thing I wanted to show, I put a screw here at the right height, and I have enough wire here, and what I always refer to as a torpedo level, and I'm doing my level-headed best, to try and keep this as level as possible. I was really surprised once I started looking at, I use this as ground zero, and I was a little afraid I'd gone a little too high here. It also happens to correspond to the lowest point on the floor, so it's worked out quite well actually. But I've been able to maintain, I think, level clear across here all the way back through this L, and it'll make it easier for over here on the other L, which is the next step. I don't want any grade between the two, well, I guess it would be along the hidden staging yard behind. So I'm trying desperately to keep this stuff as level as possible. And in this old house, that's always a challenge. So I guess the next step is to start building the modules and completing this so that I can do a back and forth run, at least run some trains. Now that I've got all the modules on there, boy, there's a lot more room even than I thought. It's real measurements now. It's not just pencil sketches on paper. So I'm quite encouraged. There's a lot I can do with this. And stay tuned. We'll see where it goes. Here's all the parts assembled for the 4 modules I'm going to be building to complete this, the Brownsville Thomas Burr L. Zoom in a little bit here. We've got 2 single modules. These are all, by the way, Masterpiece Modules kits. I really like these kits. And 2 inside corners, which I've never built these. These are going to be kind of interesting. And this is kind of the extra stuff that goes with all these kits. You'll see that all the parts have a very specific serial number on them so that you don't mix parts from one module kit to the other. They're machined to work exactly with the same thickness of stock. So this guy's thought of everything. I can't see any point in trying to do an instructional video on how to assemble these modules. The owner of Masterpiece Modules has done a wonderful video on YouTube. Just search Masterpiece Modules, T-Track module, and you'll come up with about a 13-minute video, and he just shows how to knock these things together far better than I can. What I will do instead is give a few hints what I've found in assembling these that makes it a little easier. First hint, the first step is you'll see that these pieces all have kind of rough edges. He calls them fuzzies. The process is not as clean as you would like, so it means taking a little piece of sandpaper, which is included with the modules, and sanding these smooth. And my first hint is don't skimp on that. Go ahead and sand those nicely. You'll find that everything will fit together much better if you spend a little more time putting these sanding these, so that when they go together, they go together smoothly. And he also warns you, don't dry fit these things and pull them apart. They're going to go together once and they're going to stay together. So you're just going to make things more difficult if you snap it together and pull it back apart. So anyway, this is the first module I'm going to work on, and I'll kind of go step by step what happens with that, and go through how I recommend putting those together. So stay tuned. Okay, here's the first module all subbed up. I just love the interlocking design of these. You can see through the way it's put together. It's very stable dimensionally. All told, I spent about 20 minutes sanding this, all the little fuzzy parts off and making sure everything fit really nice, and another 20-25 minutes of beating on it to assemble it and glue it, and it's ready to go. I'm going to let it dry overnight before I start the next step, which is painting this thing, and that's my second clue or hint on how to make these things work best, and that is to get a good coat of latex paint inside and outside so that it will not absorb moisture, which kind of happens depending on where they're stored and how they're banged around. So that's the end of this one. Now I've got 3 more to build. Woohoo! Well, this module has been painted and is pretty much ready to go. Like I said, I recommend painting inside and out, and it seals things nicely. Be careful not to glop too much on. These tiny little holes, which I hope you can see, are where the screws go to attach the tracks. and you don't want them glopped up too much. You want to be able to find them. Also, I make sure for the threads to protect them by putting little pieces of blue painter's tape on each end of them so they don't get all globbed up with paint. So now for the last recommendation I have to make these work better. They come with little nylon threaded screws to go in here, and they'll work. They'll get you on the layout, but I find I went ahead and bought a bag of 2-inch quarter 20 carriage bolts, and I find those work much better. It gives you something to grab onto. You'd be surprised how many times you have to make an adjustment to a module that's sitting in place. You don't want to take it apart, so this gives you something to get a hold of. So that's kind of how the only things I can add to the wonderful video by the Masterpiece Modules people. These things are fun to put together, and very good product. Now I have to complete the other 3 and put everything together and run some trains, and that's how I hope to end this video. So stay tuned, I got a lot more to do. So here's everything in place. All the new modules are built and on their legs, and it goes all the way across the Brownsville to Thomasboro L. Really surprised how big these inside corners are. I'm hoping to use that to use that for good scenic effect as a separator between the towns. This one's probably going to be just some sort of a rural scene. As you can see, there's an extra space here. I'm going to probably build extensions on the modules that make this up, but I have to make sure everything's locked in place first and make sure I have the right space. This is going to be an industry of some sort, and I'd really like to have a highway bridge across there, being a nice scene separator. Here's Thomasboro. And at the edge of Thomasboro, which I haven't modeled yet, this is where single track is going to start. I have a switch here, and I'm not sure exactly scenically what I'm going to do back here. I have a feeling back here is going to be a farm scene. Eventually, this through here will be single track, and this module is all I had to fill it. It's kind of hideous where it's at, but this is where the bridge module will be, and back behind here is roughly the size of the single track bridge. I think that'll look very nice. This here is another one of those where I have extra space, so it'll be an extension on a module I don't even have yet. Here's going to be the P&N junction, and this is where things are going to go back from single track to double track. And this lead here will end up being the interchange track with the junction. And then we're back to Brownsville, which will be unchanged. So that's I'm really amazed. I've got everything done I wanted to over break. It's actually now the weekend after break, but I'm pretty happy with the way things have finished up. So I'll probably leave you with some scenes of trains running. So as always, if you like what you saw, please hit like and subscribe, and I'll talk to you next time. Thank you very much for watching. See you then.